So just also, so now with Basic Income UK, we've decided to incorporate as a company limited by guarantee, which means we're not a charity. So that means we don't have political barriers to what we're doing. We can say what we want and promote it in any way we want. The other reason that we're also separate from Citizens Income Trust is we want to talk about, see, if so far with, because Citizens Income Trust has so much influence, and they base it all on the current tax system, we wanted to be able to talk about other ways to pay for basic income, all right, particularly wealth taxes, particularly taxes on things that people own that they just get a rent from, also called rents, economic rents, and that sort of, and resource taxes, that, those sorts of things that would actually, and also try to shift the whole thing away. Because when people say, well, who's going to pay for it? Well, I'm going to pay for it out of my taxes. I think one of the main, along with a bunch of other victories, but one of the main victories of the other side, as it were, shall we say, over the last 40 years is the kind of shift of taxes away from corporations and away from economic rents to working people. Okay, and I mean, I think this is something, and I'm about to come out with an article about this, I think it's something that the left has really neglected over the last 40 years. We've been talking about pay, and we talk about jobs, but in fact, the fact that corporations and other rentiers, if I can say, have had a free ride, are getting more and more of a free ride, has been one of the big problems with all of this. Where am I going with this?
One interesting point in Piketty, he says that in the French Revolution afterwards, all the people in the country were required to declare all their wealth and assets.
Yeah, for sure.
And apparently that record still exists because the idea was to tax wealth, wasn't it? I don't know how it worked out, but it proved it can be done, even on a national scale, even though maybe the French population was probably half or less.
No, I mean, there's even landed property in this country that's not even on the land register, so...
I'm fairly new to all this, but one of the things I'm deeply suspicious of is this asking people the question, what are you going to do with your £3,700? What do you spend it on? Which ball would you put your... It's a populist question. It's a bit like asking, would you like more nurses in the hospital, yes or no? It's, I'm really not convinced by any of that, and I don't think a million people putting marbles in boxes ask the question similar to, what would you do if you inherited a load of money? Yeah. How would it transform your life? What needs to be, I need to be convinced on is the economic argument, i.e. the overall argument here, that, we've only got a finite amount of resources in the world. We certainly don't want a position where we're encouraging people to consume more in terms of things that they don't need. Yeah. What is the overall economic benefit to the economy as a whole? Who's going to lose out and how are we going to get them to pay is the crucial question for me. And I don't think any of the million signatures on this.
No, I wasn't saying that was the best thing to do. Okay, I was just saying that's how.
No, I'm not trying to be critical at all, but of anyone here. It's just that's my deep scepticism of this, of some of the arguments we've had. A lot of things we've had today have been people saying how it would benefit their own lives. Sure, I'm going to say that if you give me £10,000, I'll tell you what I'll do with the money, and it will transform my area. I'm sure it will. But what are the, that's the argument.
Okay, well, all right, you bring up a good point. We have some of this discussion on our website, in the blog. There's an article about how much poverty costs this country. Okay, so, if you want to look at something which is a kind of broader economic argument, which is, we don't get into the figures so much, okay, because the work we don't have the resources to do that kind of work, basically, or that kind of very detailed academic work. But I am very proud to say, that we have managed to get some people to focus on how would you actually do a sovereign wealth fund. All right, so Duncan McCann and Stuart White, the other Stuart Lansley, and a couple of people they've actually because of our pushing at various things there is that work is actually starting to happen. All right, like what how much would we get? How would we actually form it? Compass is I think they're about to put this out. I'm not sure. I've seen a draft. All right, I'm not sure whether that's going to happen. But I also think, sort of politically speaking, when I'm talking, I talk mainly about the costs of poverty right now. I mean, there's certainly, say something like ESA or PIP, the assessments. I'm always saying that we've never counted the cost to the NHS of all of that. There are a lot of other costs. We always look at it in terms of, the benefit system versus basic income. All right, and we don't, we're talking about that, but actually, when you talk about the cost to society of a lot of individuals not having access to money.
So you're saying it's not a zero-sum game in some areas?
Yeah, well,
so some areas there will be a net gain for society.
Exactly.
Rather than just a balancing out with food.
Yeah. I mean, that it's not, that things that are just expenses for the DWP actually cost society vastly. Okay, so say for example with ESA and PIP, all right, those assessments. There's a huge uncounted cost to the NHS of those assessments, all right, and I won't go into that, but, let's just let that rest. I guess more what I wanted to hear from people, if that's possible, rather than the arguments. We can talk about, arguments for, not about basic income. But again, we've, just to say, we've not been focusing on the economic arguments as such. In terms of numbers, all right, you can do that in a lot of different places. There are a lot of different resources out there, but more the kind of social benefits and the reason we do want to focus on stories, say like Daz's story or whatever, is that it actually does bring that home to people. Like, what would you do? Because it's such an unimaginable thing, all right. When you've been poor for a very long time, actually having money in your pocket is kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of like this weird
I'd like to make a point. I've been reading Thomas Bloodworth's Hired. I've just finished it, and of course that's about exploitation in the likes of Amazon and process and all that sort of thing. And of course, if the working for Amazon is slave labour basically. You work 10-hour days, 30 minutes for lunch, and two breaks. And if you go for a piss, you get a blast mark. And really, if you had a universal basic income, would you actually transform the conditions of people that have to do those crap jobs? Because at the moment there's no alternative. Rugeley was the place quoted, which is in Staffordshire, 1,000 jobs. It's ended up with mostly Eastern Europeans doing it. Because and they said to this guy who was obviously doing it for what the hell are you doing working here? This is a crap place to work. But for them, even though it's crap, it's a lot more money than they get at home.
It's better than starving.
But they're then being exploited by landlords, 80 quid a week for a shared bedroom and all that sort of stuff, And if Amazon didn't have to do that job, Amazon would have to change its business model.
Well,
therefore,
the thing is, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, they're actually looking to robotize the whole thing. So in preparation for robotizing the whole thing, they're making their employees into robots, yeah? That's... that's what the thing is going on right now. Anyway, sorry. I do want to hear from. We don't have a whole lot of time. 25 minutes or so. I kind of want to hear more. Like, what do you feel you need locally from a national organization? What kinds of things would you? I thought like the last session, which is about a power analysis of your local area. I thought that was really useful. And that would be, one thing to go on.
You've got a new book coming out.
Sorry?
Well, the Cheltenham Festival Literature, DT deals with a wide range of topics. I live in Cheltenham at the moment. And if you've got a book coming out, you could probably say to them, can I come and give a lecture in the Cheltenham?
Well, no, it's not about like what,
No, but you're going to publicise it, you're the expert, and you've got a book coming out.
No, I don't have a book coming out.
We had Alistair Darling there this year.
Yeah.
And answering questions about why he fouled up the bailout of the banks.
Right.
Because he didn't answer those questions. But he's there because there's a book coming out. It's a very big...
No, I've got an article coming out, but not a book. I've got a small article coming out, not a book. Okay, yeah. Anyway, yeah, thank you. Yeah, cheers.
So do you mean in terms of how you can particularly help Sheffield, or just
anyone? Yeah, we've got people from quite a few other places, but yeah, sort of what kinds of resources do you need? We had one resource that was presented at the last workshop, which was, how to think about your local area in terms of who has power and who's closest against you. That's one way. I don't know, other things that you might need. Sorry, Stuart?
I think Becca had a hand up.
Oh, Becca, okay. Yeah,
A
whatever.
quick one. So
Yeah.
something that sounds like it already exists in a few places, and we can definitely bring together in this sort of Google Drive shared folder that everyone can get into.
Mm.
And I'm sure CBN's have got some, Patrick's got some. Is like briefings about the issue from different angles. So what is the carer's take on this? You know, what is a tenant's take on this? What is a disabled person's take on this? And this might be helpful if you're going to go and see a local charity or local group or local politician that you know this is their one of their priorities, then you can sort of tailor the argument. So we can surely put that together.
I think on that point, kind of thing for me, like what I think would be helpful was like, okay, let's say I want to go and petition all these people on my power analysis, but really my time's tight too. So if you've already done these letters, like actually just give me the bloody letter and I can sign it, fill it out, and send it. Because I find like on a campaigning front, the less you have got to ask people to do at the ground level, the sort of more willing people are to do something.
That's one of the things that we looked at as UKBI in terms of templating stuff out, and that's one of the conversations we had with the Sheffield hub as well.
And that you could change, maybe
Yeah,
alternate, put your
you know,
own
it's
special
there
story
for
bit
you.
in
And this
there or
is
something.
this is going to be in the Google Drive. All these documents, as many as we can get together,
Yeah.
will be there and available. You come in, you go, I need a letter to an MP. Bang, it's there.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just tailor it to your own.
Yeah.
Is that on your website? Is that what you've
No,
We're getting there, yeah.
It'll be a standalone resource which will be available through Google.
On the website. Well, we could put it on the link on the website.
What's it going to be called?
We don't know yet. All right,
We
it'll
haven't
we'll flag it up.
Basically, if you've got
Okay,
access to a computer,
sorry,
you
guys,
have
we-
access
yeah.
to all those resources.
Yeah.
Okay, so Stuart and then. Okay, yeah.
So just a thought about writing material for particular constituencies. So one of the things I think about the political situation in the UK is that a lot of the institutions, or some of the institutions that are potential supporters, are also quite conflicted internally. So I think Labour is quite conflicted internally on basic income. And I think trade unions are quite, had an experience of talking to a constituency Labour Party about basic income, and you know there was quite a range of opinion in the room, strongly supportive and strongly opposed. So I think something that kind of, you know, here are the arguments to take to a Labour Party meeting, here are the arguments to take to a trade unionist. That would be really useful to sort of work in those contexts.
Yeah.
Right.
Counter arguments as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's one thing we were talking about in our group, you know, inviting people who don't agree with you to come along to your meetings. Because then you learn their arguments and you learn how to counter what they're telling you.
Right.
But they will be
Oh,
similar.
okay, hold on, guys. All right, there are other people that wanted to speak. So, lady at the back.
I was going to say one of the things that I think would be useful for moving forward with UBI is having spaces that you can go to and have meetings that don't charge you to go there. So having free venues or having the cost covered so that you can just basically rent out a room where you can have conversations about UBI and anyone's invited, and you can format that however you want to, being structured or quite loose, but just to get the conversation going. Because a lot of people probably won't be able to make a specific date, so if it was like a reoccurring thing where you could just go along and have a bit of just debate really about what it is and what it could be, and just open up the floor to talk about it, because at the minute there isn't really that stream happening.
Right. Yeah. Can I just say on that? I mean, in Berlin they do something called a basic income beer. Okay, and again, I'm with full respect to what Becca said about not everybody wants to go to a pub. All right, but they have it, and it's interesting. They have it on the same date every month. All right, so it's not like the third Thursday, because a lot of people have something they do on Thursday. It's on the 20th of every month. So that, because that moves around the week, then that, and people can remember that, then it's actually, so, I mean, it's certainly open to anybody to start having socials. One thing that we can do now on our website and certainly through our social media is to advertise, help advertise those sorts of things. All right, so if you set something up, please let us know. We're very happy to put it on our website. We're very happy to put it up on Twitter and Facebook, and I think, is there an Instagram?
No, there's no Instagram at the moment.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, so that's there.
Just one thing I want to say about that.
Yeah.
Non-political organisation that might be quite good as a sort of organisation to approach to use their spaces as Quakers. So in Brighton we have the Friends Meeting House, and it's non-political. Anyone can go in.
Yeah.
You don't even have to say, right, I want to have a talk about basic income. You can just walk in there when they're having one of their meetings and say, oh, hello, I'd like to talk about basic income, and you're off and up and running.
Okay. Yeah,
In a way, that sort of answered the question.
Okay.
If you've got an area or a community where questions that have been talked about or anything, are there any experiences from people who've started off from absolute scratch, how to take the first steps without going through all the learning processes, because people have gone through it anyway? So
Well, Basic Income UK and Sheffield Hub have done exactly that. They've started from nothing. You know, that's what it is. It's about starting something, but all those resources to help you do that will be available very soon.
Mm.
So,
And also, I mean, you can ask, you can always ask us for a speaker if you
Yeah.
want, if you are actually starting from scratch. I mean, with the videos, we've got a YouTube page, all right, which has the DAS. Did you see the DAS video? Okay. Anyway, it's a great video there, and the animation that was shown at the first part, and just show film, and talk about it. Again, I would really emphasize to everybody that this is something that we all, because we are all experts in our own lives, and we're all experts in what we need. I think this is really, it's actually an issue that's really open for people to talk from their own experience and be able to, yes, there's some reading you need to do, all right, or, it's helpful to do. But it's actually one of those things. I mean, Daz was talking about it in a brilliant way, and I don't think he's ever read anything about it. No, I mean, he just understood it from his own experience, and I think that's really important to keep in mind. So.
Well, how do you finance your activities? Are you a membership organisation or what?
Well, we accept donations at the moment.
What, from individuals or what?
From individuals and whoever else might donate.
So you can become a sort of member?
We're not a membership organisation in the sense of having members, but sorry.
well, we're moving towards
We're
that.
moving towards that, yeah, because we're
obviously
evolving
you're
right
going to
now.
send people out to talk to organisations. They might pay expenses. But
Yeah,
it's still-
exactly.
Yeah,
What we-
no,
what
and
we'd
they
ask-
do
what we'd ask
generally,
is a
yeah.
per diem. What we'd ask is a per diem.
Yeah.
And if it was over, say, 200 miles away from wherever we are, we'd ask for a hotel room.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere to
Well,
sleep.
that's reasonable, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Jason.
I mean, just echoing on the Quaker Meeting House, because we have our meetings in Quakers. Currently, we have to hire out the room, but previously, when we were in another group which were backed by the Quakers locally, they gave us a space for free. And so, I mean, the Quakers generally, I don't know if the Quakers nationally sort of backed it and said, okay, we'll provide spaces within our Friends Meeting Houses. I mean, they have got quite a strong sort of economic discussion side in the Quakers. So, I mean, sort of making links with the Quakers, they're just a really useful group generally to sort of.
But you can go into any of their meetings, and just ask, or just say you want to talk about it, and just see who in the room is actually interested. And if you can get somebody who's actually involved in the Quaker movement interested, you might find that you start getting the room for free or whatever.
Yeah, it's
but it's
really
getting
useful.
in there and posing the question.
And just on the kind of the founding of groups and starting up, over Sheffield, it was just a process that took a time where we had meetings one year, public meetings, speakers are really useful. So kind of having high-profile speakers, you get loads of people down, and then you try and sort of lead people on to just next steps and getting different people involved and giving people roles, so suddenly they feel they have to do something. So it's an evolutionary thing, but obviously having a template and guides for how people can do that would be useful. I'm going to pose though a question, which is, and this is kind of what could be our UK do, or should be our UK have a stance on what a basic income should be, because one of the issues is that basic income can be lots of different things, and obviously in Sheffield we're sitting on the fence. We're talking both about a top up and about the reorganising the whole tax and benefit system, and there are advantages to both. But if going on a national campaign, should that actually be just a single, this is a basic income, this is what we're talking about, and these are the arguments for it?
Okay. All right. Now, this is a massive discussion within the basic income movement internationally. All right, and there's a side of it. I mean, the BN, the Basic Income Earth Network definition is that it's individual, it's periodic payment, it's without means test or work requirement, okay? They don't talk about a level. And the discussion within the international movement is, should we set a level, all right? Now in Europe, we've taken the view that we put it in our charter that it should be enough to live on, whatever that means, all right? But as a target, all right? And then there's always massive discussion whenever we want to take an initiative, you know, if it's less than the target, then should we do it at all, all right? And so that's, and it's always a discussion, all right, with everything. Personally, my own personal view is because the system in this country is so bad right now, doing one that's partial with a top-up of housing and disability and stuff would be such a vast improvement. You know, I would happily give up my job, okay? But yeah, I mean, that, you know, that is a discussion. We've decided in Basic Income UK that we want a livable basic income, again, whatever that means, and it doesn't necessarily just mean money, it also means housing and things, education, health,
you know.
all of that, okay.
And has there been a position taken on funding? So
No, we don't take a position on funding. We've been, yeah, I mean, as I say, the Citizen Income Trust has been really emphasizing, you know, getting it out of the current tax system with a bit of wiggling here and there. We've given ourselves the space to talk about a whole range of different funding options which are out there, all right? And so that could apply to anybody, okay? If you guys want to talk about, I don't know what, in Sheffield that could, you know, provide the funding, whether that's like a land value tax or, you know, something like, or a resource tax of some kind.
It's that having conversations with people, and you have very different conversations. If you're talking about taxing everyone above 25 grand,
right,
they will actually have to pay more.
Yeah.
And everyone under benefits, or you're talking about a top-up where everyone gets a set amount of money.
Right.
And as standard. And those are very different conversations to have, and I suppose it's, you know, kind of moving forward, do we need to pick a conversation, or actually are we all right just keeping it open as a free-flowing conversation where, you know, well, it could be this or it could be that. It kind of depends where things go, and that's an okay level of sort of complexity to have in that conversation.
I mean,
quick things, can I say?
Can I just answer that for a minute? Okay, one thing is that we try to stick to at least to the BN definition, all right, that it's an individual payment to everybody without means test or work requirement. I think there's been some problem in the fact that because basic income or universal basic income has become such a popular term that it's been used by governments to mean a whole lot of different things which are really not basic income at all right? So there's always that kind of pushback. And sorry, Richard, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say, if you're looking for a definition of basic income, Wikipedia has a brilliant one, you know, and of course it's all referenced up, so you can go back as far as you want. But in terms of the level at which you want to set a basic income, I think if whatever the poverty line is in the country that you're campaigning in, that's kind of where you want to be trying to get.
Well, that's what we've decided. You know, that's within the national board. That's what we've decided to go for.
Total household income, though. I mean,
but
are you not
I don't want to get sorry, sir.
I
don't want to get into that kind of detail right now.
Well,
okay, we can have it later.
All adults get it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get into that kind of detail right now. But yeah,
Or maybe.
Okay.
I personally, I would advocate for a basic income of around 20 grand, however you want to make that up, per adult, and £6,000 per child, depending on the child, you know.
But I mean, but then
it doesn't matter how many people are in the house.
I think morally, I would be more comfortable with something.
You know,
sorry.
you ask. You know.
Okay, guys, no, hold on. I really don't want to get in. You guys can talk about that later, okay?
Can I just make a point
or whatever.
Sort of,
yeah, go ahead.
Some of what people have been saying with the different ideas. I think flexibility, leaving it open, is actually an advantage. Because the answer that Patrick gave to my question in the last session was about you never know when the circumstances are quickly going to change.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
the opportunity arises.
Right.
And you can then say, well, that's the way to go now, because that's the opportunity.
Well, I mean, I think that we're kind of getting there with universal credit, in fact, all right, and that, you know, in terms of like having a you know, say a JSA level, a £73 a week level, with top-ups for housing benefit and disability, etc. Okay, I think we are actually getting to that. I think it's so important, though, to keep in mind that really, if we're making kind of moral and I don't know, what's the philosophical arguments for it, that really, ultimately we want everybody to have as much freedom as they can possibly have in their lives. So, I mean, without getting into any more detail about how much it should be and the elements of it, I think it is good, though, particularly to stick to the individuality of it, that it goes to each individual, because there's a lot of income differences within families as well as between different groups of people. And I think for me as a feminist and somebody who's campaigned on wages for housework and various things, that's something that I'm very aware of, and I think it's really important. In terms of no means testing and no work requirements, again, sort of giving, when people say, well, why do you give it to rich people? To me, it's like, well, we have to remind them that they're citizens, actually, and this would do that. But I mean, there's lots of different things you can get into.
So what is the definitive work at the moment on basic income?
There is no definitive work on basic income. Probably
everybody bows down to and says that's what we all want.
Yeah,
there's a lot of conflicting
it's an ongoing discussion, okay, and it's not to say that the way you guys are approaching it, Jason, it's not to say that that's absolutely wrong. All right, it's just to kind of bear in mind what the international discussion is, on the outside.
If you want to go to your educate your MP, what do you tell him? Do you say read this book, or at least he's just
Guy Standing's book is a good place to start. The Guy Standing's book, Basic Income, What It Is and How Do We Get It?
Right.
And there's a really short one by Malcolm Turry called 101 Reasons
Hang on, Guy Standing. What was it? What was Guy Standing was what?
Okay, basic income, what it is,
right,
and how do we get it?
It's called How Do We Get It?
Yeah, how do we get there? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get to you. Yeah.
The other one, right? It's really short, and it's called 101 Reasons for Citizens' Income by Malcolm Turry, and it's great.
It's been mentioned today.
Yeah, it's a good one to pass on to people because it's a quick read and it's got one page.
Malcolm Turry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also,
okay, so
the one that was mentioned earlier as well, Utopia for Realists, is quite accessible, but it goes
Utopia for Realists.
Oh, right.
It talks about various other things as well, so you can't just take it.
And who's done that? Anybody?
Rutger Bregman.
Rutger Bregman.
Who?
Rutger, R-U-T-G-E-R.
R-E.
Well, we'll send it out via email, so we'll send it out to everyone who's signed up. We'll
send a reading list out. Sorry,
Has anyone heard of Andrew Yang?
Yeah.
The American Democrat running.
Yeah.
So he's bringing on the UBI platform.
Yeah.
And obviously he's rebranded it as like the Freedom Dividend.
Yeah.
Which is like a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
But I reckon, like, if that campaign picks up momentum like it looks like it is doing, we should keep an eye on that, because I reckon if they're going to take that seriously and they're really going to run on that platform, they'll probably form some real policies around that.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Sorry, I missed you.
Just on an organising question, I was wondering if we've been talking about this sort of centralised Google Doc that people can use as a basis to build up groups. Has there been efforts to support like student groups in students' unions and things like that? Because that's a good resource of a lot of often quite active people who, will certainly shout and holler about a lot of things, whether or not it's always.
Is that something you'd be interested in setting up?
I've just graduated, unfortunately, but there's loads of.
But you're so close to the coalface.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like we have had people approach us. I've certainly spoken at a lot of university gatherings. In fact, that's where Becca and I met, I think. Yeah. But it's hard to keep going within a university, I think, just because of the turnover. But yeah.
I mean, even if it's just like almost like a starter pack. If there's someone, an individual who's interested and says, I'd love to set up
something.
Which,
Yeah.
Something simple that's quite accessible.
Yep.
I don't know, it's maybe just a thought.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
At an national campaign level, could you guys not actually put out to the student union, like the UK Student Union, and get them to so it filters down. So instead of starting at the bottom, get them to sort of push down. Same with the teachers.
Or with
unions.
NUS, yeah. No, we've kind of tried the top-down thing with the union. I mean, with trade unions mainly. The NUS women's bit did pass it. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
All right, so.
I tried to contact them to get something to happen.
Yeah.
What were the reasons?
There was
just need a reply. So they passed it as they're going to campaign on this year as a priority.
That sort of would be interesting to know from somebody that's campaigning at the beginning, if because you can also name and shame as well too. That's quite powerful as a soft tool. So you did say you were going to do this, so let's do this now. Like as an individual, sort of working up. If you had that available information, maybe it would hurt that you're.
But certainly, in our experience, the best thing is when people are within an organization already and they're pushing for it within their own organization. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking in terms of I know you said that you work single mothers and so on.
Mothers at Home Matter is what the organisation is called.
Women in general, that the Women's Institute could be a big reach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new cool ones that are more urban, but there's also the ones that are more rural. Because we've not really talked about reaching people in rural or towns.
For sure.
You need to go beyond just urban centres.
Absolutely. Sorry.
I just said Mumsnet.
Yeah, Mumsnet. Yeah. Becca, did you have something else to say? Or you?
Not really.
Okay. Well, listen. It's nearly 3:30 now. I don't know if there's anything burning for
We've got
people's.
15 minutes still. It's.
Are we? Oh, okay. Oh.
Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry. In theory, we've got a few more minutes.
Okay. Fine. Right. Are there other things that people want to talk about?
Recommendation.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about having templates and documents that groups can use. Often a resource that I've used in the past to help combat some of the pushbacks that you get against UBI is Scott Santen's blog. So on there he's got the most comprehensive FAQ page where it lists every argument he's ever faced against UBI and then has a really detailed comeback against that, all very evidence-based, all linking to other resources.
Right.
So something like that. I don't know if Scott would give permission. I assume he would.
Oh yeah. Well, all we need to do is link to his stuff, right? And he's very happy. Right?
Scott Santen's.
Yeah. SANTENS. Yeah. The stuff about if you hear about it's going to cause cause inflation. He's got a massive paper on why it's not going to cause inflation.
There's a similar thing called procons.com. Which is got on UBI as well. It's called Procon.
Oh, okay.
They do all
I
sorts
haven't
of
heard about
subjects,
that.
but we've got one on UBI. So they list all the pros and all the cons and all the literature behind it.
So that's the website, is it?
Yeah. It's
called
the website is procons.com.
Okay.
So I hope. Please.
Just another suggestion. We live in a celebrity culture. And I know Humanist UK, as part of their rebranding, they've hooked in a lot of celebrities to talk about humanism. So that might also be a way in getting some good names to talk about it.
Yeah, Becca?
I think another resource it would be good to include as well as this kind of practical stuff is, art and music that people produced and have that compiled for sharing as well. I know some other sites and projects are doing that, but we could also add to that.
For sure, yeah.
Are there ways of, because I think a lot of people have talked about the stories, and are there ways of kind of sharing those stories? Because I feel like sometimes stories are the best way to communicate why something's important, and when you've got that human perspective, you're like, oh, yeah. And so it's completely anonymous if I feel like it should be, but are there ways of maybe doing a little blog of those kind of stories, or maybe a little magazine, or just putting them somewhere that you can find them?
Yeah, one thing we've been doing, we have a statement on our website at the moment which people can endorse, and then we also ask people why they endorse it. And one little social media project would be great if somebody took up, would be just to put all what people say. I do it every now and again when I think of it. I do it on our Twitter feed, but that can kind of be really good. But we do have on our website, why people endorse this, and sometimes you do get stories from that. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot, you know, there's like so much you can do online, but where this really needs to get out is face-to-face conversations and relationship building with people. And it's not to say that, you know, collecting stories, you know, is actually a good way to create some of those relationships. So, okay.
Yeah, just on that, I think Karen was saying this morning that she's been collecting a load of stories, and we have still got quite a bunch, you know, to be processed. They could get turned into memes for online. A friend of mine had a really nice idea about a listening project where you would actually put stickers around that maybe had a little code. You could just get a little quote on the sticker, and then you could scan it, and it would take you to a web page or something where you get maybe a video clip or more information about it. So there is a lot still. We have got a bit of a bank of stories that again anybody could add to, and part of our process that we're doing at the moment is figuring out ways for people to get involved. Like if they said, oh, I've got half an hour a week that I want to give to your campaign, what can I do? And we could say, great, are you good at social media? Great, we would like you to put some stories out on social media for us, because you know these are things that could be on a list of jobs to do. And was it you said, Alex, you know, small actions are great for a certain level of people. Then there'll be other people say, well, I've got a bit more time, so you need some medium-sized actions as well you can suggest. And that's exactly where we're at just now in getting ready to bring more people into involvement.
Yeah, I think the Labour Party is good at that. Like lots of people, I mean, I might put a poster on my window, but I'm not necessarily going to go campaign because that's time extended, you need intensive
range. Yeah.
So I think if you have bumper stickers, which is something that's quite popular in Canada, but I don't really see in the
stickers
UK.
would be huge.
But you know, like maybe some get a bit get a bit funky and make some bumper stickers and stick on cars, like on your own car, obviously.
Well, we did. I mean, Becca had we did a massive sticker of one of the propaganda things we used for the European Citizens Initiative, which was actually came out of Germany originally, which is like a road sign, and it's like, you know, carry on as per to, you know, existential crisis, or take a different route, which is basic income. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of reaction you got to that.
I don't know, because it was on the
Well, you were driving away. I only saw it when you saw the back of it. Yeah.
Just on the kind of the really active folks, I came across someone who'd been on like proper community organising training recently, and they were really impressive in terms of, you know, kind of their energy and their activity and how they worked with people. And I don't know, is there any scope to have a sort of training session so that if there are people who are particularly active, they can come, they can get kind of trained up and given confidence, because it obviously, you know, kind of certainly for some people really makes a big difference in how they can then go out and be active and push things forward.
Absolutely. Well, that's something that we'd like to do, and also we'd like to sort of train more people to be able to speak publicly about this as well. Because I mean, as I said, I mean, the barrier is really, it's being shy. All right, that's the main barrier, and you know, and also, you know, being able to sort of think through thoughts and be able to, you know, kind of talk to people, and that can be a barrier for people. Sometimes it isn't. It's a bit like, you know, some people just talk anyway. Like to kind of talk to the point, hopefully. But yeah, that's certainly, I mean, in London, that's kind of my dream, is to start having kind of speaker training and organising training, for sure. And maybe we could do that on a national level. So.
How strong are you guys as an organisation? So, like, in terms of like coordinating, how many people are actually doing the job? Because I know from Mothers at Home Matter, it's a very small number of people that actually manage everything, and it can be extremely difficult. Sort of, you've got lots and lots of ideas, lots of energy, but it's like, who does the work then? Which can be difficult. So, like, how many is there of you guys?
Core group.
Core group? Well, there's 5 of us, 7, yeah.
But that's where we're at. We're at the point of how to prepare to scale up with the framework. That means if we had like 100 people come and say, now we want to get involved, we'd be like, okay, you know, in terms of what's the best thing for people to do, or how can they, so that's literally where we are in creating that framework. That means it doesn't need that small.
What we want now is volunteers with skills.
Right.
You know,
So
if you're a
vacancy
photographer, a
roles.
video maker, you've got website building skills, you've got canvassing skills. That's what that's the next bit in terms of scaling up.
Can I make a suggestion? Just that, like, you know, just from being at the university for a long time, because I did my undergrad here, my master's here, and I'm doing a PhD here. but that there's lots of opportunities for like organizations and businesses to come in and actually get research projects done. So that might be a way that actually you can use resources within universities or hubs of cities. They are seen as hubs now more so than ever, I think. And if you can like integrate in somehow, then
well, that's particularly, I mean, like with the kind of thing that Becca and Patrick presented in terms of a power structure analysis, that, I mean, that would be a great research project in almost any university locally, I would think. I mean, not all of it can be done. Hey? Yeah? Yeah? So.
And we're here at the university because we got this free, whereas everywhere else we're looking at
That's
was
awesome.
like 300, 400 quid.
So how did you do that then?
So it's Mark, who's one of the members of UBI Lab Sheffield, is a lecturer here, so he could book it out, and his involvement is through the university kind of public engagement structure. So if you're near a university that's got a kind of public engagement program, that's kind of been worked in over a couple of years, and kind of getting. You just need one academic. And,
yeah.
That's good.
And they're happy to have us. They even tweeted this morning welcoming everyone.
Did they? Oh wow.
They didn't say go somewhere else.
But that's same like Parliament. You can have just one MP sponsor you, can't you? And you
Well,
can
that's the
have
thing, all right. Yeah, I mean, you can have a free meeting at Parliament. Who knew this, right? And that happens. I mean, there was in 2014 there was a meeting. It was really funny because Citizens Income Trust was talking about, well, we need to have a big public meeting. Where are we going to do it? We could do it at Westminster Hall, and it was like, well, no, actually, we could just ask an MP to give us a room in Parliament. It's free. You get lots of people, and and also you can attract speakers because because it's a very prestigious place to speak, even if you're off on a corner room somewhere. Right?
Well, in the house somewhere that would.
Yeah, no, there have been a couple meetings in the House of Commons about basic income. Yeah.
Can I just make one? I'm going to shut up after this, but like
Okay.
one other suggestion. This is just something that I found was really useful as an individual going to things that I thought were outside my completely access. So at the ILO, they had live feeds, so you could ask questions online. If you were sat here, you could actually ask questions to the panel. Even you didn't have to, raise your hand or anything like that. Top questions got voted in and then got asked, which I thought was a really nice way to do it in a bigger crowd. So if you're upscaling, well, that might be an idea. And then webinars. So I did one with the UN, and I was able to look at like gender response budgeting, which I wouldn't have had access to without that, that knowledge, that information necessarily. So I think like that might be a good way to have a wider national discussion from your own home, opening up access, and also spreading what you want to spread. So
for sure.
We're going to do conference calls.
Yeah.
And a shutdown as well too.
Yeah.
What's the kind of what kind of connections do you have to MPs themselves? Because obviously that's a way of getting a whole new constituency of people, not a literal constituency, but people who follow them on social media and things like that. Do you have connections with specific MPs? Or?
We do. I saw John McDonnell this morning, in fact, on the train coming up, which was kind of nice. No, I mean, it's been really mainly through constituents asking their MPs about it and talking about it. We do keep a list. There was an early day motion in two early day motions actually, 2015 and 2016, which Carolyn Lucas put forward. And so we have the list of MPs that signed that, so they're obviously open to the idea of basic income. But as I say, this is, a lot of the pressure, or a lot of the focus has been on MPs and the national politicians for quite a long time now. And so we're really trying to sort of build more of a kind of groundswell and do more kind of local work, all right, so that, there's something, that people have something that they can plug into locally, and make those, again, face-to-face relationships, not only with each other as supporters of UBI, but also, how do you then bring that to your own other organizations, because most of us are involved with some other kind of initiative, whether that's a sports thing or your family, mums and toddlers group or whatever, okay, and try to kind of bring it into that.